Well, hello, friends. Welcome to the Ladybird browser update for February 2025. It has been a beautiful month in the project, a bit short, but pretty good. We got some nice things done, and I want to tell you about some of them. But the first thing we do is always to thank our sponsors. So, as you know, Ladybird is funded entirely by companies and individuals who care about the open web and this month, I am very happy to share that Shopify has renewed their platinum sponsorship for 2025. They were our very first major sponsor, and it is an honor to have them continue backing us. Also, this month, the Proton Lifetime Account Charity Fundraiser raised over $1 million, and they have decided to share 50,000 of that with us as a donation. So half of that comes from the generous Proton community, and the other half is a matching donation from Proton VPN. We are very, very happy to have them as our sponsors as well. So very, very cool. Let's take a look at February 2025. So the first thing is always numbers. In terms of raw contributions, we had 281 pull requests merged from 35 contributors, which is around what we saw last month. So pace remains roughly the same, which is good. And in web platform tests, we are passing 9,836 new tests for a total of 1.773 million. And this is a little bit fewer new passes than previous months. And what's happening here is that we have taken care of all the low-hanging fruits at this point, and it's unlikely that we're going to get these big batches of like 40,000 new passes, 50,000 new passes, because now there's a lot of small tests where we have to do a bunch of work to get relatively few points, and that's okay. We're still going to do the work, but the numbers are going to get a little smaller from here on. Still, 9,836 new tests passing is still very, very good. And if we look in context, this is where all the browsers were 1 month ago, the top 6 engines that we look at and track. And this is where we are today. So if we toggle back and forth, you can see that there is a pretty small improvement. We are improving a little bit more than everybody else, but still, it's pretty small. And I like to do one of these without all the text encoding tests as well, because they kind of bloat up the score with over 1.1 million points. So here it is without text encoding, 1 month ago and today. 1 month ago and today. So you can see that we are improving, working our way towards catching up to the top 3 engines. And Safari is also getting closer to Firefox, which is very nice to see. It's nice to see that others are caring about web platform tests as well. So if we zoom out here just for fun and take a look at, this is web platform tests since we started tracking it, which was in August of 2024. We are the red line here. The colors don't match up with the previous slide. Sorry about that. But as you can see, the red line has been on a quest here. A little bit unlike the other lines, which are not going as aggressively on web platform tests, I suppose. And it's just lovely to look at this and to know that every little upwards movement is somebody working on this and like fixing tests and improving our engine, making it more spec compliant. And when you look at this day to day, it might seem like it's not moving, but when you zoom out like this, it's really cool to see. I love it. The green dashed line here, by the way, that is just above the red line, that is Apple's 90% threshold for being eligible as a alternative browser engine on iOS. So it's one of many criteria that they have for that. But if we ever want to be on iOS, we need to get to that green dashed line. So that is our next logical target before we have to try to catch up to the major engines above that. All right. So something I worked on this month was a flash of unstyled content. This is an ancient web phenomenon. I think the term was coined back in like 2001. And it refers to this thing where you're loading a web page and it shows up unstyled at first. So you see it sort of without CSS, right? And what we do now, as of this month, is that we delay rendering until style sheets in link elements have actually loaded. And this is not a heuristic that we've invented or copied from other browsers. This is in the spec. So this is called render blocking in the spec. And we now implement much of that spec behavior. And to give you an idea of what that looks like, here is what our GitHub repository looked like a month ago when you were loading it. First, it would look like this for a moment, and then like this when we have some CSS, and then finally like this, right? And with these new changes and the render blocking implementation, we just go from nothing to this state, which is obviously much more visually pleasant. So that's flash of unstyled content. Another thing that we've continued working on pretty hard is OpenSSL adoption. So this month we replaced our homegrown crypto. We continued replacing homegrown crypto with OpenSSL. So there's a list here of algorithms that we've replaced. And we're getting really close to replacing all of our homegrown crypto with OpenSSL, which is fantastic because our own homemade crypto that we inherited from Serenity OS was slow, probably correct, but we're not sure. Certainly unproven security-wise. And moving on to a battle-tested implementation like OpenSSL is just feels like a very wholesome thing to do. So I'm really, really happy that we are getting close to completely being rid of our own homemade crypto. And it's also really cool that we get to lean on some of the major open source libraries out there, like OpenSSL. And speaking of open source libraries, we are also leaning on curl. So we already moved most of our networking on top of curl, but one of the holdouts was WebSockets. And this month, we are also now building our WebSocket API on top of curl WebSockets, which is great. I think there might be some little pieces of networking and socket stuff in the browser still not using curl, but just like OpenSSL, we are here moving towards using curl for all networking, which would be really, really fantastic. And I'm not sure, but I think we might be the only browser building entirely on top of curl, which would be really cool. If that's something that we can say, I don't know. Curl is a Swedish technology, just like myself, I suppose. Okay. So we also added a bunch of CSS features this month. We have these new pseudo classes, and we also added CSS squigglies. So like these text decorations that make a red or a green squiggly for spelling errors or grammar errors. Very, very kind of unusual to see them on the web, but when we need them, they are now there. So that's cool. And we added the inert attribute, which you can use to sort of knock an element out and make it non-interactive, non-focusable, non-findable. And I'm told that that's useful for modals and things like that, where you just want to essentially like disable an element. And I think it works on any element. So interesting new attribute. And this one is pretty cool. So we have begun implementing support for the Firefox DevTools protocol. And this means that you'll be able to use the Firefox debugger and inspector and all those developer tools and connect them to Ladybird. And what this does, it gives us access to very sophisticated debugging tools for web content much, much faster than if we build those tools ourselves. And we obviously want to build developer tools ourselves as well, but um, this is tremendously useful and valuable to us in debugging the engine and trying to figure out why web content doesn't work correctly. So it using the web tools, the dev tools from Firefox, just accelerates our ability to debug stuff. And this month we've started on this work, and we support some basic inspector stuff, a little bit of layout, DOM inspection, and JavaScript console. I'll show you in a moment what that looks like. Okay, so let's do a little demo of the browser. All right, so let's bring up Ladybird and take a look at our website, because the first thing we do whenever we have new sponsors is we visit our sponsors. So this month, Shopify rejoins at the platinum level. This is their website. I've certainly spent a lot of time working on Shopify.com and Ladybird before, although the site has changed a bunch since then, and actually it's pretty laggy when scrolling. I bet some JavaScript shenanigans probably. Oh, and here's some WebGL we definitely need to look at, because I bet this is supposed to have texture and color. It doesn't. But the site loads, got layout issues, lag issues, WebGL, bunch of work to do. Still very, very exciting. And we also have Proton VPN and the Proton Foundation sponsoring us via their fundraiser. Let's actually go and find the blog post for their fundraiser. That would be at Proton Fundraiser. This was the one, right? And this is how much they raised. So we were in the 2024 Lifetime Account Fundraiser, and they raised over $1 million. And we are one of the projects that they donated the money to, with a matching donation from Proton VPN. So very, very cool. These websites look pretty okay. Actually, the button here doesn't feel quite right. Shadow is probably not supposed to be up to the left like that. Menu here is a bit messy, but scrolling is nice and responsive. Probably just needs a little bit of debugging. Shoutouts to Brave Search as well for working pretty well in Ladybird. All right, so let's take a look at fangamer.com. So this is a Shopify web store. We have been working on getting the full e-commerce loop working in Ladybird, so that we can create stores and sell stuff and buy stuff and the whole thing. We want it to work in Ladybird. And being able to buy stuff is getting close to working, but there have been some issues. So let me see how far along we are right now. If I try to buy a Vessel hoodie here, because it looks pretty sick. And so far so good. Now, normally it crashes here, but will it work today? No, looks like it hung. Okay, well, I guess we're not buying a hoodie today. Maybe next time. Still, we have been making good progress on the Shopify stores and finding and fixing tons of engine bugs thanks to this work, which is great. And then I also wanted to show you some chatbots. So ChatGPT has seen some improvement. Let's see. Let me go ahead and close my chat history there. And I will ask it to write a short poem about my wife. Let's see what it says. This is taking a while. Might not be so short. All right, so as you can see, the text doesn't appear immediately and sort of streaming in. So that's something that we still need to fix. I think there's like layout issues, some API issues, and just performance as well that we need to work on for this to work. But it does eventually show up, looking good. It's a beautiful poem. I'll be sure to take a screenshot of that for her. And then why don't we try Grok as well? So they recently put out a new version of that, or Grok 3, and we got that working in Ladybird as well. Although, same issue here, no sort of text streaming. Write a short poem about cute cats. Yeah, as you can see, just appears eventually. Still, pretty cool. So, I mentioned the Firefox DevTools support. So let me show you what that looks like. If you go to About Debugging in Firefox, and then you're supposed to be able to connect to a remote instance of a browser. So we just have to say DevTools, and then I will run at port 3000. And then I have it pre-configured here, so I'm just going to connect to localhost 3000. And why don't we try, I don't know, Wikipedia? Okay, so let's see. All right, so we can see here that we have one tab open. It's at Wikipedia. We'll inspect that. Bring up the inspector, and we are using the Firefox inspector to look at the DOM in Ladybird. Pretty cool, I think. And we can also use the JavaScript console here. So document, element, node name, or whatever. This is talking over TCP with the DevTools protocol in Ladybird. And we don't yet have the JavaScript debugger, but this is something that we're expanding. And yeah, it's going to give us access to these awesome developer tools that will make it so much faster to debug issues in Ladybird, JavaScript, layout engine, stuff like that, until we have our own fully fleshed out DevTools. All right. Now, before we go, I want to say thank you to everybody who contributed code to the project in February. This here is a list of everybody who committed something to the Git repo in Feb. And it is awesome to see so many people helping out with the project. And we're always welcoming new developers. So if you're interested in working on this with us, do join the Discord. Come hang out. I promise you there's something that you can work on if you are a programmer. Even if you've never worked on a browser before, so many people learned browser development in Ladybird. That could be you as well. So come to Discord, hang out. And also thank you for watching this video, for keeping up to date with the project. Thank you to all our sponsors, people who donate, people who work on the code, people who hype us up on social media and things. We are having a lot of fun building this, and we are going as fast and as hard as we can, aiming for the alpha release in 2026. And as far as I know, we are on track and feeling good about it. So future is bright. Yeah, that's it for today. Thanks for checking it out. See you next month.